Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Mindful Movement and Breathwork Challenge. I can't believe we're almost finished the whole 21 days. I'm so excited, and I really would love to hear how you're doing, how you're feeling after 20 days of mindful moving and a mindful breathing. For today's sequence, we're going to be focusing on restorative yoga poses done mindfully. And you'll need a bit of equipment for this session. So 2 blankets would be ideal. You could do it with one if you only have one. And then you'll also need something like rolled up socks, works really great. And if you don't have rolled up socks, you could actually even just leave this step out. You don't even really need these. You could do the whole sequence without them. They're just for an extra upper back release. If you happen to be in my program and you've already got these vinyl balls, you can grab your fascia balls and use those. If you're new, I just want to show you that these are vinyl play balls and the air is half deflated, so I can almost touch my finger. That's how soft and squishy they are. Important to note, especially for this sequence, because we don't want to use anything hard like a tennis ball. Something soft and squishy, rolled up sock, or one of these. And a yoga block would be great. If you don't have a yoga block, you could use a couple of folded towels or some couch cushions. They would work just as well. So for the restorative movements, you'll definitely need some things. So hit pause and just go and gather items and come on back, and we'll get started when you're ready. So let's begin with a regulating breath. So we'll take those 3 nice, easy inhales and exhaling to sigh. And you can make whatever sound you'd like. As you're doing your sigh breaths and regulating breaths, really taking the time to just let yourself arrive onto your mat, and giving yourself permission to really be here with your body, with your mind. And we're going to do some movements today that are really nourishing for the upper body. And the idea is this is a sequence you could learn now and then have as a go-to in your self-care toolkit for when you feel a little bit of discomfort through the upper part of the body. So very first thing we're going to do, go all the way back to day 1, and we're going to do our shoulder raises with the intentional contraction and the intentional release. So how this works is we lift the shoulders up, and we can start really small, like just lift them up a little bit, and then see, can you feel a bit of a squeeze? Can you feel a sense of engaging those upper trap muscles? It can be really light and still be really effective. So don't do anything too hard, especially if you're not feeling really great in the upper shoulders. When you get into the right amount of squeeze for you for today, I'm going to hold that, and then we're going to slowly lower. This is really the trick as far as effectiveness. Is the slow motion lower of the shoulders. And then when you get to the bottom, can you let them go any more? Maybe 1% lower, 1% less holding. And then we'll do that a few more times. So slowly raise. Squeeze, you're kind of bringing your shoulders in, and squeeze and hold, and slow as you can lower. And so often when the shoulders are uncomfortable or there's some discomfort in the upper back, it's really normal to get into a bracing pattern of kind of lifting and folding forward to protect against or brace against the discomfort. So it's really, really common to be kind of live here when there's a lot of discomfort or pain. So we can have done it so long that we maybe even not even aware that we're doing it. So this movement is more than anything a reminder to the body to let go of any bracing or holding, unless of course you still need to be. You can check that out. So maybe we could say any unnecessary holding, you can be the gauge of that. Any unnecessary holding, could we let go of that? 5% more. Let's do one more. So raising, squeezing, holding at the top. Slow as you can, lower. And when you get to the bottom, when you let go of all of that holding and squeezing, can you let go of, is there any more holding you could find in there to let go of? You need to wiggle a little bit to find it. Let's take a breath. Sometimes when we discover unconscious holding patterns, it can be very nice and kind to the body to recognize it, to thank it. Thank you for protecting me, shoulders. Thank you. Thank you. And then to remind them it's okay. It's okay right now. It's okay to drop 1 millimeter more. And I just want to say a little cautionary message as we go into the restorative. If you're very familiar with my work, feel free to skip ahead, skip over this part. But if you're new to me in particular, what we're going to work with is a passive backbend. Passive backbends tend to be corrective movements in yoga and in movements for postural holding patterns that are protective patterns. So I always like to just name whenever we're about to go into a corrective movement for a protective pattern, to really mention that and honor the intelligence of the body before going into any type of corrective movement, to first acknowledge the pattern itself, to thank the pattern itself. And I also want to really encourage you that we'll do a couple of progressions here, and to jump off at any point along the way, so that if your body lets you know you've maybe gone too far, to back up a step. And less is more when it comes to restorative yoga poses, particularly this one. So I'm sitting on a couple of blocks, which I may end up using later. So if you want to just take your yoga blocks, put them off to the side, or your couch cushions, or your folded up towels, and your rolled up socks. And then with your 2 blankets, what we're going to do with these 2 blankets is stack them one on top of the other. And then the top blanket, you're going to move back so that you're making essentially a ramp. And the top blanket you're going to roll under, and this is going to essentially be your pillow. So 3 layers here. This is for your lower back. This is for your upper back, like your back ribs. And this is for your head and neck. So kind of get that situated for yourself. And then what we're going to do is lay down on top of it. And you want to have your yoga blocks handy and your socks handy. So how this looks is we sit, so sit bones are on the mat, and then we put the low back on your bottom layer, back ribs on your top layer, and your head is going to be on your roll. You may need to adjust here. I always find I never quite get it just right until I lay down and explore it a little bit. So feel free to tweak it, get it feeling just right. You can bring your feet to the mat and tuck the tailbone under and just kind of let the low back let go a little bit. For the first progression, we're going to place the rolled up socks under the top of the shoulder. So just on those areas we just activated, just to give them a little lift
If that's not comfortable, feel free to leave that part out. Now again, so because I mentioned, so what we're doing here is we're opening up this front part of the chest. If you've been in pain, or if you've been going through a hard time, or you've been stressed, sometimes what happens is we start to move into a protective postural pattern, very common, very normal. And so what we're doing is we're kind of uncoiling it, unwinding it, and allowing that chest to open again, which occasionally can, almost scare the body if we do it too fast. So this is where your blocks come in, is what we're going to do is we're going to back it off by lifting our shoulders, our arms a little bit up. I've got 3 blocks here. You may only have 2, but another option here is to actually place an item. It can be a towel, it can be a couch cushion. I'm just going to use my block. You can place an item on your chest, and sometimes it gives the body the message that this is still protected. So it can be really effective if you're sort of tracking that there's a resistance to the shoulders and the arms opening and the arms coming all the way down to the floor. So if you place an item here on your chest and an item under each arm, and once you feel ready to settle in, you can straighten the legs out. If there's any discomfort anywhere in your body, in your low back or upper back, you may need to adjust. You can go down a layer. You can be on one layer only, one blanket only. All right, and then you can settle in. Maybe just kind of track and see as you settle in, just like as we tracked with the shoulders, we could just see, like, is there any guarding against the posture? Is there any of that protective patterning still happening? And if so, can you just really thank it? Really honor the intelligence of the body. Maybe let the shoulders know, thank you for protecting me. Thank you, thank you. And maybe let the shoulders know, and in this moment, it's okay to open 1% more. You could always suggest, try it and see, and you can always come back to closed if that's better. And what we're going to do is we're going to just go through the progressions here now. You can take away your shoulder, your arm support, and check that out, because now we're opening the chest a little bit more. The arms are dropping down a bit more. Maybe keep your support on your chest for a bit more. You can always cover the belly too. That can be a really helpful one. And then with this progression, maybe check a little bit. You might need to go back a step and put the blocks back up and just wait a little bit longer. And we'll stay here for about 2 minutes. You can take your upper shoulder supports away. If you're done with them, feel free to put them back in if you want them there still. One of the kind of inner cues I like to work with corrective movement postures is to really get in touch with the mechanism behind the holding. That, because these systems in the body can work really hard to protect other systems, and it's I think really sweet to acknowledge the effort of those protective systems. So I really like to connect in with that mechanism of protection or postural holding that's protective in nature, and just ask it how it's doing. with all of that holding, I like to ask it, would you like a break? Do you need a break from that holding? And if the answer comes back as a yes to that, a really great way to support the body is to then get curious about a way that you could use a prop to do the holding for the body. So in this case, if it's the shoulders are tired of holding, we could prop them up with a block. Or if it's protecting, even just kind of like energetically in the chest, that's where the block, maybe assign the block to do that job so this system can get a break. We'll go for about a minute with that step. Connecting in. Would you like a break? Do you need a rest? How could I help you get a little break? And here would be a good time for, if you're really enjoying it, you can, go one step further and take all of your support away and maybe just go into feeling into the openness and expanse now of the chest and upper body, letting it move and open. And feel free to hit pause here and stay in this step a little longer if it's really enjoyable for you. And then once you're ready, we're going to do one more restorative pose. So you're going to start by coming over onto your side, bending the knees, rolling all the way over, coming off of your blankets, and then pushing yourself up to seated. And then we're going to do I'll give you two options. We're going to do either a child's pose, which would be a roll forward, or we'll take the blankets away and go back to our back and hug the knees into the chest. But the idea is now we want to do a bit of compression in the upper body. So what the child's pose looks like is a couple versions of it. You can be sitting on your knees and rolling forward. You can have the blankets to help with that. So the blankets can go between your knees and your chest, and your blocks can go for your head. And if child's pose doesn't feel comfortable for your body in this moment, you could do the upside down version of it, which is to lay on your back and hug the knees into the chest. So I'll give you a minute to decide which one would be the best one for you for today. And you can wiggle and move into whichever version you've chosen. You can settle in, you can wiggle in. And see if there's a way to allow for a softening in to that really intentional compression of the belly. And for our breathwork practice today, if you're on your back, you might want to just lay in relaxation pose. And if you're in child's pose, you can always sit up and move yourself over to laying down, or you're also welcome to just sit for your breathwork practice. So I'll let you choose what feels right and good for you for today in this moment.
what we're going to work with for our breath practice today is the belly breath. So if you want to bring your hands to your belly, we'll just take a couple of regular breaths to take a moment to check in and notice. It's a really similar idea to when we track for unconscious or unnecessary holding patterns in the body, and then we invite a letting go. The belly breath is the same idea. A little bit of a belly holding can be really common if we've been stressed or if the body's in pain. So what we want to do is just put a little bit of pressure on the belly to just kind of contact it and let it know. If you're laying down, you can place your folded up towel or your yoga block and just cover the belly with the block or your hands. And then see, what could you let go of as you inhale? Is there a way to let all of the abdominal musculature to take a break? It may have a job of holding to protect you, so you could thank it. Thank you. Thank you for protecting me. And then see, would you like to let go? Would you like a break? Would you like a rest? Even 5% of a rest. Is there any more you could let go of in the lower belly so that that inhale can have a little more space, a little more freedom, so the belly can open as you inhale and rest as you exhale. And I really want to invite you to stay with the belly breath practice for as long as you would like. And when it feels complete, I really wish you an amazing rest of your day. And I will see you one more time tomorrow. Thank you so much. With that, and namaste.